Here's Chief Meteorologist Lee Haywood with your Storm Track 3 AccuWeather forecast. Brought to you by Window World of Wilmington.
We've seen seasonally warm temperatures all week long. High temperatures in low 80s, officially 82 degrees today in the Wilmington area. And right now we have a mixture of sunshine and cloudiness, looking pretty good out there. You can see with Storm Track 3 Doppler radar, not a whole lot happening. We had a few spotty showers earlier in the day, but nothing showing up right now. Weather forecast this evening into the overnight hours calls for partly cloudy skies, slowly dropping temperatures from the low 70s to the upper 60s. It's going to stay pretty warm Friday into the weekend. More on that straight ahead. Your news at 5 starts right now.
You're watching WWAY News at 5.
Tonight is the night, the final presidential debate. Will it be a repeat of the disastrous first meeting between President Trump and Joe Biden? And what do people in the Cape Fear have to say about the event? As we enter the final days of campaigning, we get opinions on the local level. Plus, death rates in the Cape Fear on the rise. Is the coronavirus driving people away from the hospital and creating indirect death? Thank you for joining us tonight for your news at 5. I'm Randy Aldridge. We're going to give you a live look right now at Belmont University. This is where the final presidential debate is set to kick off in just 4 hours. Right now, President Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden in their final preparations. The stakes are very high tonight. Trump must make his case as polls show him trailing nationally and in several battleground states. Biden does have a platform tonight to solidify his lead and to avoid any major mistakes. Marcy Gonzalez reports.
The stage is set in Nashville for a critical final showdown in this contentious presidential race. President Donald Trump, who is trailing behind former Vice President Joe Biden in most national polls, hoping for a boost tonight and laying the groundwork for what could be another combative debate. Already criticizing the debate commission, the topics that will be covered, and the moderator. Today, tweeting video of this week's yet-to-air interview with 60 Minutes that he walked out of, accusing the correspondent of being biased and writing that tonight's debate moderator is, quote, much worse. The president also going after the unprecedented decision to mute each candidate's microphone for 2 minutes at a time while his opponent answers questions.
Well, I think the mute is very unfair.
A move the debate commission hopes will avoid some of the relentless interruptions that marred the first debate.
You just don't.
Here's the deal. I know a lot more about this.
Let him finish.
While the president has spent the week campaigning in key swing states,
Thank you, North Carolina. Go out and vote.
Joe Biden has remained in Delaware preparing for tonight, though the 90-minute face-off will be broken up into 6 15-minute-long segments covering topics including race, climate change, and national security. Biden telling ABC affiliate WISN he expects things to also get personal.
He's kind of signaling that it's all going to be about personal attacks. I'm going to try very hard to focus on the issues that affect the American people and talk to them.
The coronavirus pandemic is another big topic that will be covered here tonight. And this time around, we'll see even more protections against the spread of the virus, including plexiglass between the candidates, and everyone inside will be required to keep masks on the entire time. Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, Nashville.
Here in the Cape Fear, opinions on the election are strong, and there will surely be many people watching tonight. Sydney Bushell spoke with the UNCW Communications Studies Department chair today to find out what this debate will look like. Hi, Sydney. Tell us what you found out.
Well, Dr. Rick Olson, he teaches debate, and he says if his students behaved like President Trump and Vice President Biden during the first debate, they wouldn't have had the opportunity to finish the debate, and they would have gotten a 0. So he hopes he'll see a more productive debate tonight. Olson says the muted microphones may give the candidates an opportunity to fully express their ideas after a question is asked. He says hopefully this will mean ideas are the focal point of this debate rather than the dysfunction. Olson explains that debates rely on quality evidence, and he hopes to see more claims supported by evidence tonight. And though the muted mics may be beneficial, it is a shame they had to be put into place.
The idea that America needs a mute button to choose a president should be embarrassing to hopefully everybody, both Democrats, Republicans, both candidates, and hopefully the idea that that needed to be invoked for 2 adults to argue about the future of the country.
Olson says he hopes that this will lead to people focusing on the right things. I also spoke with a political science instructor. He weighs in on what this debate means for voters. I'll have all the details coming up at 6. And of course, you can watch the debate on WWAY, ABC, and CBS tonight at 9 o'clock.
It's hard to say, Sid. Thank you very much. So just how important is your vote? It is so important that Time magazine decided to change its logo for the first time in the publication's nearly 100-year history. On the cover of the double issue, the name Time is replaced with the word vote. The magazine is literally staking its name on the importance of Americans casting ballots. The edition is filled with articles and editorials related to the election and its massive implications. Time CEO and editor-in-chief calls voting this year a, quote, imperative. To help Americans, the issue includes a guide on how to vote safely. And new tonight, a man is facing charges for allegedly sending inappropriate photos to an 8-year-old girl. 29-year-old Alberto Leon of Regalwood was arrested by the Columbus County Sheriff's Office alongside Homeland Security and the Leland Police Department. Leon is said to have sent nude photos over social media apps to a girl who lives in the state of Washington in March. He also reportedly asked that girl to send nude photos of herself, and she never did. He is now under a $50,000 bond and behind bars. Turning now to the latest on the coronavirus. The pandemic has taken hundreds of thousands of lives nationwide, and doctors around the country and here at home now saying that it could indirectly be a factor in hundreds of thousands more. Our own Kylie Jones talked to some doctors today about these numbers and about what's causing this spike. Hi, Kylie. Tell us what all these numbers mean.
Hey, Randy. Well, the chief physician here at New Hanover Regional says they usually predict a certain number of deaths nationwide each year. That means this year, aside from COVID deaths, there are around 100,000 deaths that are unexplained, and the year isn't over yet. Dr. Phil Brown at New Hanover Regional Medical Center says nationwide there have been more than 300,000 deaths this year. He says 2/3 of those deaths are COVID related, and the other third are likely related to avoiding care. Brown says it's extremely important to continue getting care, tests, and other procedures, especially for people with those chronic illnesses. He says the hospital is actually one of the safest places you could be right now.
There are all kinds of very specific safety measures that are taken to assure that patients and staff are kept safe from transmission of COVID. And we don't have any documented cases in our facility of transmission within the organization between patient and staff or between staff and patient.
Brown says it's much more dangerous to be in certain other public spaces than it is to be in the hospital. Coming up at 6, hear from a doctor at Wilmington Health who explains why some of the people who might be avoiding care could also be some of the people at an even higher risk. Reporting live in Wilmington, Kylie Jones, WWAY News. Randy.
Thank you, Kylie. And this week, Governor Roy Cooper sent letters to municipalities across the state, giving them permission to go above and beyond his mandates to enforce coronavirus restrictions. Measures could include fining businesses that do not impose the mask order, reducing mass gathering numbers, ending the sale of alcohol earlier than 11 p.m., closing high-risk venues, and further limiting restaurant service. New Hanover County Commissioner Jonathan Barfield said they'll only go above and beyond the governor's measures as a last resort. Instead, they will rely on voluntary compliance.
I don't know that we're going to have the appetite to go above and beyond what the governor's already mandated. To me, it'd be kind of hard to enforce and issue citations to individuals for not wearing masks. I just don't know how we would do that with our law enforcement being stretched already as it is.
New Hanover County Health and Human Services also did not recommend any further actions. We're going to hear from the county health director at the top of the hour. But still to come tonight, yet another raging fire out west. The East troublesome fire burning out of control. This is it right now. What firefighters are now hoping will help. One airline ready to pack in passengers. Southwest selling all the seats on planes as it tries to rebound financially. And is Iran trying to influence the U.S. presidential election? The startling email and what Google is saying about it. And later tonight, we have a warning for parents with small babies. What could be in that bottle you're using? And let's take a look right now what's happening on the roads. Waze app showing there's not a lot to talk about. Big picture, there are a couple of places in Brunswick County. It's cleared up now, but right there at 211 and 17, there's been quite a tie-up most of the afternoon. Looking in the Wilmington area right now, you can see Independence where it crosses Oleander, and a little blip on Eastwood Road where it meets with Oleander and with Military Cutoff. If you're traveling north, however, you're going to find a little slowdown on 17 right at 210, but everything else is looking fine. That's what we're seeing right this moment. To check in anytime, just download the Waze app and join us on the WWAY Operation Gridlock team. Take a look at your screen right now. Authorities have issued a mandatory evacuation for residents near this out-of-control fire in Colorado. Fire officials estimate the East Troublesome Fire has burned close to 25,000 acres and is only 10% contained. Some residents left their homes as early as last Thursday. High winds and low humidity are expected to fan the flames in the coming days, and freezing temperatures are forecast starting tonight and into tomorrow. Firefighters hope a possible snowstorm on Sunday will help extinguish the fires. Investigators still do not know what sparked the blaze. In other news tonight, Southwest Airlines took a major financial hit this year and is now making a big change to mitigate further losses. The airline will start selling every seat on flights starting December 1st. During the pandemic, middle seats were blocked to help passengers spread out. In an earnings report released today, Southwest cited findings by medical and aviation organizations as the reason for resuming normal sales. A Department of Defense study found wearing masks protected passengers from airborne transmission because of the airflow systems used on planes. And the move comes just in time for the holiday travel season. JCPenney is making progress with its financial woes. The CEO says the retailer hopes to break out of Chapter 11 before the holiday season. JCPenney has filed a draft asset purchase agreement which breaks down the terms of the previously announced letter of intent to sell. Brooke, Simon, and First Lien lenders are all working toward finalizing these negotiations. Penny's is among the many retailers who have been struggling since the start of the pandemic. And Quibi, the short-form video app, is shutting down after just 6 months. The announcement was made yesterday. The company has struggled since launching during the pandemic. The platform offered short-form videos with big production budgets, but made for mobile devices. Programs were cut into segments shorter than 10 minutes. Quibi says its subscribers will receive notifications regarding the last day they can access the platform. Google suspects that Iran has targeted the U.S. and U.S. voters by using email. They say Gmail users were sent approximately 25,000 emails targeting the election. The company believes the messages were part of a suspected Iranian campaign to influence the presidential race. Yesterday, the director of national intelligence reported that Iran was caught posing as the far-right group Proud Boys and sending intimidating emails to voters. According to Google, 90% of them were stopped by spam filters. Google says it's cooperating with the FBI as the agency continues to investigate.
Now, here's Chief Meteorologist Lee Haywood with your Storm Track 3 AccuWeather forecast. Brought to you by Window World of Wilmington.
Temperatures for the most part have been above normal for the past couple of weeks. Matter of fact, 9 of the past 14 days we've seen high temperatures 80 degrees or warmer. 13 of the past 14 days. Just one day over the last 2 weeks has the temperature been below the average, and that was on Saturday. Remember when we didn't hit 70 degrees? That was a real cool shot air that came in, and then we started to rebound quickly Sunday. Every day so far this week, my friends, have been in the low 80s. Officially today, Wilmington International Airport hitting 82 degrees. Normal is 74, and look at this, only a few degrees away from the record, which was 86 set back in 1919. This morning, 15 degrees above average, waking up at 67 degrees. Right now with the Skyview Camera Network shot, this is North Topsail Beach where the waves are kicking up just a little bit. We're seeing waves running 2 to 3 feet with some isolated 4-foot swell. And I want you to know that we do have a high risk for rip currents. All beaches as we go into the day Friday. This is because we're going to get swell from Hurricane Epsilon coming in. Matter of fact, waves will be picking up tomorrow 3 to 5 feet. I think 4 to 6 foot waves later in the day, and that'll extend over into Saturday, even Sunday, some higher than normal waves. So we're going to have a concern along the coast with the warm weather. Just make sure if you're heading down there, stay out of the water because of that high risk for rip currents. Right now we have sunshine and clouds, seasonably warm temperatures. From time to time we've seen a few spotty showers, nothing widespread, nothing real heavy, about a 10 to 20% coverage of that, and that's the way it's going to go for the next couple of days. Dominating weather features high pressure, which is situated offshore the Virginia coast, pretty much is dominating the eastern half of the nation. And right now, just a few spotty showers, portions of the Carolinas, Georgia down into Florida. For tonight, partly cloudy skies. Spotty coastal showers may come on shore late tonight. Rain chance of 10 to 20%. Otherwise, patchy fog developing. Lows will generally range from the upper 50s and low 60s. 58 Elizabethtown, but you got 65 Southport, and generally low to mid 60s on the immediate coast. Here's a look at that high pressure cell remaining in control as we wrap up the week. Waking up in the morning, isolated showers moving on shore the coast. As we go through the day, 10 or 20% shot for a shower. Otherwise, clouds and sunshine will be mixing together, and it will be another warm day to wrap the week up. About 80 degrees in Leland, Wilmington, and Burgos, 77 Carolina Beach and Southport, 80 Bolton, as well Calabash, and 79 degrees at Ocean Isle. Latest on Hurricane Epsilon, it's 200 miles to the east of Bermuda, moving to the north-northwest. Winds are around 85 miles per hour. This system's going to slowly move away from Bermuda over the next day or two. Moving over the North Atlantic water, slowly weakening, but it'll be a slow process. But again, the main impact for them, tropical storm force winds through tonight and then improving tomorrow. Watching a little system that could do some formation up in portions of Cuba and the Bahamas. The National Hurricane Center giving it a 30% chance for development, but we're not too concerned about that as any impact for the southeast. Details in the Wway Storm Track 3 AccuWeather forecast. We're going to keep these nice warm daytime temperatures going all the way through the next 7 days, Randy. Also keeping isolated showers in the forecast through the next 7 days, so it's not going to be a lot of big change. Maybe by the end of next week, we might start to cool down just a little bit.
And you were talking about this earlier, Lee, these warm temperatures, still warm water. People need to stay on high alert if they're going in the ocean right now.
I really don't recommend next couple of days getting in the water. I know the temperature's nice, you want to get down there, but surf will be a little too rough and the rip current risk high.
All right, thank you, Lee. A health alert for parents tonight when we return what might be inside your baby's bottle. And one fast food restaurant testing a way to make more money during the pandemic. News tonight, new parents preparing a bottle for their baby should know the infant could be ingesting unwanted microplastics as well. A new study in the journal Nature indicates that microplastics can seep out of a heated baby bottle. This follows previous findings on human exposure to tiny plastic particles in the ocean and in the soil. This potential risk is brought about when plastics degrade in the environment. Researchers say they don't want to alarm parents yet because there isn't enough information on the potential consequences. They do, however, recommend that baby formula should not be reheated in plastic containers or microwave ovens. They also recommend against shaking the formula inside a plastic bottle. And while the jury is out on what harm, if any, microplastics might cause, researchers do plan to make recommendations for safer practices in the future. In consumer news, get ready to potentially shell out more cash if you like Chipotle delivery. The restaurant reports it saw a 14% spike in revenue last quarter thanks to deliveries, but that also comes with a big cost from services like Grubhub and Uber Eats that charge commissions as much as 30%. Even in the face of such big revenue gains, Chipotle stock still lost 4%. So for now, the company is experimenting with increasing the price of delivery orders by as much as 17%. And encouraging news for the U.S. economy, American jobless claims inched lower last week. According to the Department of Labor, 787,000 workers claimed first-time unemployment benefits on a seasonally adjusted basis. That's the first time since March that initial jobless claims were below 800,000. However, millions of Americans continue to rely on government aid to make ends meet. Up next, the census and undocumented immigrants. The legal wrangling still going on and heading to the Supreme Court. Plus, on Wall Street today, stocks wobbled much of the day as investors paid close attention to any potential stimulus bill negotiations. As we go to break, here's how a few stocks of local interest ended the day. Welcome back. A second federal court has ruled against excluding undocumented immigrants from the 2020 census. The Trump administration's bid to remove those individuals would have impacted the reapportioning of seats in Congress. Today's ruling blocks the Census Bureau and Commerce Department from implementing President Trump's July order. The Trump administration did not immediately say if it plans to appeal. However, the Supreme Court is set to hear arguments over the issue next month. Those arguments stem from a similar order by a federal court in New York that was also blocked. And when we return, believe it or not, we've got sports. Basketball is almost back. Sports director Tanner Barth has all you need to know about when the Seahawks will be back on the hardwoods.